Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Andrea Speaks TV. I am your host, Andrea, and I'm bringing you commentary you can use. So, nope, your eyes are not fooling you. Yes, you read correctly. Genetically modified mosquitoes are being released in Florida. Oh, sorry about that, y'all. I had two different windows open at the same time. So, before we get into it, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. That's right, y'all. Now, this story is pretty alarming. Some may say that it's even bizarre, but yes, that's right. Genetically modified mosquitoes are being released in Florida. So, this is episode 24. I want to say hello and good morning to everyone tuning in. Whether you're watching now live or by replay, please say hello in the chat. And if I don't see it, um, and respond, I will definitely go back after the video and comment. Okay, y'all. So let's talk about what's going on with these genetically modified mosquitoes. Now, before I give you some details, I want to first make sure that you understand what the term genetically modified means. Now, genetically modified, or sometimes you may see it abbreviated as GMO. Sometimes you may see it on food labels as GMO or non-GMO. Well, GMO or genetically modified basically means in this case that they are artificially altering the genetic makeup of something, in this case mosquitoes, to produce whatever desired characteristic that they want. Okay. All right. So now the first release of genetically modified mosquitoes. Now, this information comes from CNN Health. The first release of genetically modified mosquitoes in the U.S. has began in Florida. Okay, now, believe it or not, this is actually the culmination of a decade-long effort. Okay, so this is not something that was just started in 2021. Believe it or not, some group, or the group has been working on this for at least 10 years. Okay. Now, it says the culmination of a decade-long effort by local mosquito control authorities to see if a genetically modified organism is a viable alternative to spraying insecticides in the region. Okay, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Now, the article goes on to say that for the first 12-week phase, blue and white boxes containing about 12,000 GMO eggs developed by a U.S.-owned British-based company called Oxitec have been placed in 6 small areas of Ramrod Key, Cujo Key, and Vega Key. Okay, now it says when water is added, the mosquitoes hatch, mature, and enter the environment over the next week or so. All right, now a small vocal group of Florida Key residents have fought the release of what they call, and this is, and I quote, mutant mosquitoes. Okay, listen to that, y'all. Mutant mosquitoes since the project was announced. Okay. Now, one resident was quoted as saying the only thing you can do legally at this point is stand in your Largo, Florida. I'm sorry, stand in your yard. I skipped down to the wrong sentence. Sorry about that, y'all. So one resident, let me start over. One resident was quoted as saying the only thing you can do legally at this point is stand in your yard with an insect fogger. Okay, now this was said by a resident of the Key Largo, Florida, who has fought the release for 8 years. Now she said you can't even touch a box, but you can, release the fogger in your yard. Okay. Now, let's talk more about what it exactly is going on. Now, it says the Florida Keys Project. Okay, this is according to the article. The Florida Keys Project, greenlit by the U.S. Environment Protection Agency. Okay, did you all hear that? This project was given the okay. Okay, it was greenlit by the U.S. Environment Protection Agency in May 2020, was approved to release up to 750 million genetically altered mosquitoes in 2021, that's this year, and in 2022. Okay. I'm going to keep reading, but you all let me know in the comments, what do you think about this news so far? Okay. This to me, this is very disturbing. Okay. Now, The program's target, okay, and I hope I don't mess this up, but this is the name of the mosquito, Aedes aegypti, an invasive species of mosquito that carries several potentially deadly diseases, including what they claim are yellow fever, dengue. I hope I pronounced that wrong, pronounced that right, and Zika virus. Okay, so they're saying that this group of mosquitoes that they're targeting are known to carry certain viruses, Zika virus, yellow fever. Okay. Now, the rapid spread of Zika became a worldwide public health emergency in 2016 after an alarming spike of babies, this is according to the article, born with abnormally small heads, a condition called, and please forgive me if I mess this up, y'all, microcephaly, okay, to mothers infected with Zika in Brazil and French Polynesia, okay? Now, it also says that this certain type of mosquito, Aedes aegypti, soon spread the virus to at least 34 countries and territories, including Texas and in Florida. So basically what they're saying by doing this, you can look at it as an experiment or genetically modifying these mosquitoes. They are looking to reduce um, the mosquitoes that carry this virus, okay? Hit the thumbs up button, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think about this alarming news in the comments. Now, it says in 2021, let's see, in reality, the 2021 release will include far fewer than the 750 million approved by the EPA. And that was said by one of the members of the company Oxitec. Okay. Now, in the initial stage, it says 144,000 male mosquitoes will be released in the 3-month pilot period. Okay. Now, this representative from Oxitec says that after which additional testing will be done to ensure the mosquitoes are mating with females in the wild and reducing the population as planned. Okay, I want you all to catch that. Reducing the population as planned. Okay, I'm going to come back to that a little bit later in the video because I have some more information regarding reducing the population. Okay, now it says if successful. Okay, so if this excuse me, planned experiment is successful, it says up to 20 million more male mosquitoes could be released during the height of the mosquito season this year. Okay, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna take a quick sip of my coffee and I'll continue. You all make sure you subscribe, okay? All right. All right, let me continue. Okay, now, so let's talk more about these mosquitoes and what's going on. What's exactly being done? Now it says the current Oxitec method targets female mosquitoes. Okay, y'all didn't hear that. The current Oxitec method targets female mosquitoes. Okay, pay attention, y'all, because I'm gonna go somewhere with this at the end when I make my comments. Okay, all right, let me start over. The current Oxitec method targets female mosquitoes of Aedes aegypti. Okay, now listen carefully. All right, because only the female mosquito bites or blood, which she needs to mature her eggs. Okay, so again, they're targeting female mosquitoes. I want you all to think reproduction, female mosquitoes. Now it says males feed only on nectar and do not bite people, so they are not a carrier for disease. Okay, stay with me, y'all. While many mosquitoes live in grasses and fields, the female Aedes aegypti prefers to live around her favorite prey, which it says is humans, and can breed in receptacles as small as flower vases and shower drains. Okay, forgotten or discarded containers in backyards or construction sites, even better. All right, now it says unlike species that carry other diseases, which may swarm and bite viciously, the female Aedes aegypti is sneaky. She prefers to hide under your chair, waiting for just the right moment to attack. Okay, this is what the article is claiming. Typically during the daytime. Capturing a sip or two of your blood, she deposits any virus she carries and departs. Moving on to the next victim. Okay, this is according to the article. Y'all make sure you share this video, send this to a family member or friend, okay? I think this is something, even if you're not in Florida, I don't live in Florida. I have relatives in Florida, people that I know. This is very concerning, okay? But I think this is something that we all should definitely know about, okay? Now, the article goes on, and I'm going to go back after the video and pin this article in the comments so you all can definitely read it and check it out for yourself. But the article goes on to talk about Oxytec, okay, the company that is behind what I call this planned experiment. It says Oxytec's solution to the problem is, and I'm going to read this out, OX5034, okay, a 2.0 version of its original Aedes aegypti modification. Now it says, unlike version 1.0, designed to kill all offspring. Okay, are you all listening here? Make sure you pay attention. Unlike version 1.0, designed to kill all offspring, the newer model has been genetically altered to pass along a lethal gene that only kills females. Okay, are you all with me? Please make sure you comment on this. Let me know your thoughts so far. Okay, pay attention because I'm going somewhere with this, y'all. Now, the kill switch is triggered in the larval stage of the female's growth, well before hatching and growing large enough to bite and spread disease. Now, the second generation, and this is a quote from another representative from the company Oxytec, says the second generation of the mosquito allows us to target only the females. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. The second generation of the mosquito allows us to target only the females and allows the males to continue to go and do more of their work, which helps effectiveness. Okay, again, this is a quote by the Oxytec CEO, Gray Franson. Okay, only females that are grown in an environment with antibiotics in the tetracycline family will live to mate and give birth. Okay. Now it says those females are kept in the Oxytec production facility in Oxford, England. Now, eggs they produce are shipped to Florida for release, but since there are no antibiotics in the release boxes, just food and water, the only OX5034 mosquitoes that will survive and fly away are male. Okay, please make sure that you hit the thumbs up button, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Okay, now it also says if enough GMO males mate with local females, the population of biting females drops within months. Okay. Now, I want to also share some more information about the group of residents who have been fighting to stop the release of the mosquitoes. Now, it says the state of Florida issued an experimental. Hey, here we go, y'all. Listen, then I said this sounds like a planned experiment. The state of Florida issued an experimental use permit in June of 2020 after 7 state agencies unanimously approved the project, but it took over a decade to obtain that approval. Okay, again, this is not something that they just started working on just yesterday. This is something that has been a decade in the works. Now, it says the local outbreaks of dengue or dengue, the way you spell it is Dengue, fever a decade ago left the Florida Keys mosquito control district desperate for new options. The article says despite an avalanche of effort, including aerial, truck, and backpack spraying and the use of mosquito-eating fish, local control efforts to contain Aedes aegypti with larvicide and pesticide have been largely ineffective. So basically, according to the article, what they're saying is that they tried other methods to get rid of these so-called disease-carrying mosquitoes, but according to them, those measures did not work. So then they in turn decided to do an experiment where they genetically modified these mosquitoes. Okay. All right. Now, it says the article goes on to say that even though Aedes aegypti is only 1% of its mosquito population, Florida Keys mosquito control typically budgets more than $1 million a year, a full tenth of its total funding to fight it. Okay. Now, the district, it says, also reached out to Oxytec for help in 2012, again, almost a decade ago. The company had developed a male mosquito named OX513A programmed to die before adulthood unless it was grown in water that contained the antibiotic tetracycline. Okay. Now, batches of the OX513A would be allowed to live and mate with females. However, their male and female offspring would both inherit the kill, and that's in quotation marks, programming and die, thus limiting population growth. Now, because few offspring survive, mass production and release of the GMO male was consistent to control local populations. Okay, now this OX513A mosquito had been field tested in the Cayman Islands, Panama, and Brazil, with Oxitec reporting a large success rate with each release. For example, a trial in an urban area of Brazil reduced the presence of local Aedes aegypti by 95%. Okay, but however, when word spread in the Florida Keys that a GMO mosquito was on the way, public backlash was swift. Okay, more than 100,000 people. So these are some of the measures that they took to try to stop this from happening. It says more than 100,000 people signed a change.org petition against the proposal, and that number had even recently grown to more than 237,000. Okay, now the EPA, again, this is our government here in the United States who is behind this, okay, or they're supporting this. Now, the EPA and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration spent years investigating the mosquito's impact on both human health and the environment, allowing time for public input along the way. Okay, and now what I mean by our government and the EPA and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration supporting this, they released the permit to allow this experiment to take place. Okay, all right. Let me see where I left off. Okay. All right. Now, but the article also says, but public relations campaigns reminding Floridians that the male GMO mosquito doesn't bite didn't solve the problem, y'all. Okay. Media reports quoted angry residents refusing to be treated as guinea pigs. Okay. So basically, they're saying, hey, don't experiment on us. We don't want to be considered, and this is in quotation, guinea pigs for the, and this is another term that they use, so I quote, superbug, or they even call it Robo Frankenstein mosquito. Okay. All right. I have a few other points that I want to share. It says today, environmental groups and local advocates worry that the new friendly, okay, another term in quotation marks, that the friendly mosquito has not been seen as rigorously tested as the first generation, a claim that Oxitec roundly refutes. Okay. Now, one concern, let's talk about some concerns, and then I'll share mine as well. One concern is that some female larvae may live and make their way to local sources of antibiotics, thus diffusing their genetic kill switch. Okay, pharmaceuticals, including antibiotics, are in the U.S. water supply primarily due to human excretion and by drugs being flushed down the toilet. Okay, this is according to U.S. Geological Survey. Okay. Now, the article also goes on to say, and this is a quote from an Oxitec representative, that's actually something which was looked at carefully by the regulators when they approved this project. Okay. Now, they look to see, as he quotes, they look to see if there were any potential environmental sources of tetracycline in the project release area, and the conclusion was no, there weren't. Okay. Now, the Aedes aegypti species flies very short distances, typically traveling no more than 150 meters or less than a mile in its 2-week lifespan. Okay. The article says, despite a lengthy, ongoing public education campaign by local officials, including monthly webinars designed to address citizens' concerns, critics like, and it says, Barry Ray, believe that many Florida Key residents have no idea that mutant mosquitoes are coming. Okay. He was quoted as saying, you can walk down the street and knock on anybody's door, and I guarantee you about 80% of the people right there in the Florida Keys will know nothing about what is going on, okay, about this whatsoever, he says. The article says, and this is a quote from Oxitec CEO Franson, we have gone above and beyond as it relates to the public engagement. He says, can you imagine any other large multinational chemical company doing 14 public webinars? Now, this is what they're saying This is what Oxytec is saying that they have done to help educate the public in that area. Okay. So he says, can you imagine, and I quote, can you imagine any other large multinational chemical company doing 14 public webinars, being at a farmer's market, or going door to door to talk about the technology? Okay. Never happens, he says. Critics say that they Critics say they will not stop fighting the release, telling CNN they are speaking with officials in the Biden administration's EPA and may even consider legal action. Okay. Now, one Key Largo resident was quoted as saying that she hopes civil unrest happens. Other than that, you can hire a private mosquito control company to come out of your whole community and have them spray. Okay. There's no way to opt out of this trial at this point. Okay. That's what one resident was quoted as saying. Okay. Now, my thoughts on it, and again, I'm going to pin this article in the comments so that you can read it. It's definitely very concerning. Like I said, my family and I, we don't live in Florida. But this is very concerning because if it's something that can happen in Florida, who's to say that it won't happen anywhere else in the country, as well as other parts of the world. Now, I also find that it's interesting. There's another video that's on YouTube, and it was actually recorded, I want to say about 10 years ago, maybe 10, 11 years ago. I don't have the exact date in my mind. I want to say it was I'll say at least 10 years ago, but it was a speech given by Bill Gates. You can look it up on YouTube, and the title of that video is called Innovating to Zero. Okay. And what's interesting is, and this is true, there's a group of people, Bill Gates being one, because he has publicly spoken out about it, as well as read a book on it. I'm actually reading his most recent book now to get more information about, what is his actual thought process and, maybe some of his recommendations. But there's a group of people right here in the world who are concerned about the amount of carbon dioxide that is put out into the atmosphere, into the environment every year. And so one of the topics, or one of the things that Bill Gates discussed, was the need to reduce that amount of carbon dioxide, or CO2. And one way to do that is, through the population. So I don't want to give away too much of the video. You all can watch it for yourselves. It's called Innovating to Zero. But it's very concerning because throughout, as I read the article, it is several pages long, it referred to, what I consider population control. They're basically using the genetically modified mosquitoes to control the population of those mosquitoes who this company claims, or their research claims, carries these viruses. So, my question is this some type of experiment that could possibly be used on humans one day to control the population in order to prevent negative impacts on climate change? That's something to think about. So even though, some people may look at this and, maybe want to laugh like, oh, well, this is just mosquitoes, this could never be something used on humans. We don't know that. If right now, some of the top, let me see, I don't necessarily want to say world leaders, or maybe they could be considered, some people may consider them world leaders, but some of the top, individuals, companies, business leaders, if there's such a great concern about the amount of carbon dioxide, or CO2, that is put out into the environment. And one of the ways, as I shared in that video, Innovating to Zero by Bill Gates, one of the things that he talked about, was the population, people, who was to say that this type of experiment couldn't be done, whether, publicly, privately, if you don't know the history of experiments on humans, on people, you can research that. But who's to say that this type of experiment wouldn't be done on humans? So that's a concern that I have. I'm definitely going to keep up with this story. Actually, my husband, I should have said this in the beginning, but my husband actually brought this to my attention last year. But of course, I didn't have my YouTube channel back then, so of course I couldn't report on it. Otherwise, I would have. But this is definitely something to be concerned about. I definitely I would feel the same way if I were a resident of Key Largo and this was happening in the community. Do they have to be? I can only imagine how they're feeling knowing that if they go outside, all of these mosquitoes are in their community. And who wants to say that these mosquitoes aren't traveling to other states and around the world? So definitely a story that I'm going to keep on my radar. And I want to say, y'all, this is a pretty alarming headline. We don't know what else is going on. So uh, I just want to encourage you to check out my website. Make sure you have your emergency food supply. There are several things that you can do, whether you're growing your own food, canning your own food. We just got to be prepared because we don't know what's going to happen. Currently, you all know I have reported this on the channel. There have been talks, and even right now going on all along the East Coast, fuel shortages. All type of things are just happening. And there are also food shortages going on. So make sure you have your emergency food supply and your survival needs. You can check out my website, which is preparewithandrea.com. Again, my website is preparewithandrea.com. And also you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Andrea Speaks TV. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Andrea Speaks TV. And I want to thank you all as always for supporting the channel. Please make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and share this video. Okay. Thank you all so much. I'll continue to bring you commentary you can use. And again, thank you all so much for supporting the channel. This is Andrea Speaks TV.